I woke up choking on the metallic tang of blood, my lungs screaming like I'd just surfaced from a drowning pool of shattered glass and twisted steel. The last thing I remembered was the screech of tires on rain-slicked asphalt. My husband's face twisted in a smirk as the truck barreled toward me, because he'd rigged the brakes. The bastard. To bury the truth forever. But here I was, gasping in a body that felt too small, too young, staring at my reflection in a cracked dorm room mirror. 22 years old. Wide-eyed Josephine Harper. Not the 32-year-old widow they'd frame me as after the accident. My heart hammered like a jackhammer on concrete, because I knew this face, this life. It was 10 years ago, the night before my big interview at the family law firm, the one that would chain me to Victor's web of lies. Grandpa Elias hadn't died in that mysterious yacht explosion when I was a baby, like they'd all sworn on Bibles and tax returns. No. He'd faked it, or been forced to, and left me a fortune. A vault of proof hidden in plain sight, waiting for the granddaughter he never met to claim it. And Victor, my charming fiancé-to-be, he'd kill for it. Hell, he had killed for it. Not this time. The dorm room smelled like stale pizza and cheap vanilla candles. Remnants of a life I thought I'd escaped. My roommate, Lena, banged on the door, her voice muffled through the wood. "Joe, you okay in there?" Sounded like you were having a nightmare. I wiped the phantom blood from my lips. There was none, of course, and forced a laugh that came out brittle as autumn leaves. Yeah, just. Bad dream. Overslept the alarm. Lies already. But lies were my armor now. I stumbled to the desk, hands shaking as I rifled through the junk drawer. There it was, the tarnished locket Grandpa's stories always mentioned, the one Mom said was lost in the fire after his death. Inside, a tiny photo of a silver-haired man with a pirate's grin, and etched on the back, for Josie, find the eagle's nest. Love. Eagle's nest. I dismissed it as a fairy tale back then, a senile old man's ramblings pieced together from Mom's bedtime stories. But in my dying seconds, as the car crumpled like tinfoil, Victor had hissed it at me, the key to the safe deposit box in Zurich, stuffed with bearer bonds worth millions, deeds to California vineyards, and a confession video proving the family had staged the yacht blast to claim his estate early. They'd buried him alive in a nursing home under a false name, letting him rot while they partied on his dime. Rage boiled up, hot and familiar, the kind that turns a girl into a goddamn Avenger. I snapped the locket shut and shoved it in my pocket. Victor was out there right now, schmoozing at that Harvard mixer, his perfect veneers flashing as he reeled in his next mark, me. Not anymore. I'd play his game, but I'd rewrite the rules. Step 1. Get to that interview. Step 2. Seduce the snake just enough to slither into his world. Step 3. Burn it all down. The campus shuttle to downtown Boston was a sardine can of over-caffeinated undergrads, all buzzing about finals and hookups, oblivious to the ghost in their midst. I pressed my forehead against the fogged window, watching the Charles River slither by like a vein pulsing with secrets. 10 years. A decade of memories crammed into my skull like contraband, the wedding vows that choked me, the accidental miscarriages Victor orchestrated to keep me weak, the boardroom coup where my own cousins voted me out of the firm after his sabotage painted me as incompetent. And the end, God. The end. Me. Unraveling the eagle's nest thread by thread, hiring that PI who got too close, only for Victor to stage the crash and whisper, "You should have stayed in the dark, Josie." He was dead before you drew breath. Bullshit. Grandpa was alive until 5 years ago, wasting away in that hellhole under the name Elias Crow, his mind sharp as a tack, scribbling letters to me that the nurses burned on orders from my uncle. Proof. Undeniable. Notarized proof in that Swiss vault, time-stamped and triple-locked. If I'd cracked it in time, I'd have owned Harper Vineyards outright, not begged scraps from Victor's generous allowance. My phone buzzed. Lena, texting a reminder about the interview suit. I typed back a thumbs up, then scrolled to Victor's profile on the alumni network. There he was, golden boy, lacrosse captain, future partner at Harper & Sons. Our first date was tonight. Post-interview coffee that would seal my internship and his hook. I felt bile rise. In the old life, I'd fallen hard, dazzled by his whispers of forever. This time, I'd be the siren, luring him to the rocks. The law firm loomed like a monolith on State Street, all glass and granite, the Harper name etched in gold above the revolving doors. I smoothed my pencil skirt, navy, professional, a far cry from the power suits I'd wear later, and stepped inside, the AC blasting like Arctic wind. Aunt Lydia's assistant, a mousy woman named Trish, eyed me like fresh meat. Josephine Harper? Right this way. Yes. Lydia's waiting. Aunt Lydia, the ice queen of the family, with her Botox-smooth forehead and eyes like shark fins. In my memories, she'd been the architect of Grandpa's disappearance, forging the death certificate with Uncle Harlan's signature while Mom, God rest her soul, grieved a lie. Lydia glanced up from her desk, her smile a scalpel. Josephine, darling, fresh out of Wellesley, top of your class. We expect great things. Her gaze lingered on my locket, peeking from my collar. Family heirloom? I touched it, channeling the dead woman's poise I'd honed over board meetings and betrayals. Grandpa's. Mom said it brings luck. Lie number 2. Luck was for suckers. I had foresight. The interview was a cakewalk. I knew the answers before she asked, reciting case law like scripture. Lydia leaned back, steepling her fingers. You're a Harper through and through. Welcome aboard. Coffee with Victor tonight? He's eager to meet the prodigy, eager to meet his prey. Wouldn't miss it. By dusk, I was at the cafe on Newberry Street, nursing a black coffee that tasted like regret. Victor sauntered in 5 minutes late, all 6'2" of Ivy League polish, khakis crisp as new bills, button-down hugging his gym-sculpted chest, that boyish grin that hid fangs. Joe Harper? Damn. The photos don't do justice. He slid into the booth, his knee brushing mine under the table, deliberate. Testing. I smiled, slow and sweet, like honey over razor blades. Victor Kane. Your rep precedes you. Lacrosse star. Law review editor. What's a guy like you doing slumming with interns? He laughed. That rich baritone that once melted me. Scouting talent. And maybe something more. His eyes dipped to my lips, then back up. Hook. Line. Don't sink the bastard yet. We talked for hours. Dreams of partnership. Sailing the Cape. The Harper legacy. I fed him lines from our old script, laughing at his jokes, touching his arm just so. But inside, I cataloged the tells, the way his jaw tightened when I mentioned Grandpa's tragic accident, the flicker when I offhandedly said, "Funny. Mom always swore he left me something hidden." Like a treasure hunt. His pupils dilated. Just a fraction. He smelled blood. As he walked me to the tea station, his hand on the small of my back felt like chains. This could be the start of something epic. Joe. Epic. Yeah. A tragedy in 3 acts. I leaned in, breath ghosting his ear. Count on it. Then I vanished into the crowd, heart pounding with the thrill of the hunt. Revenge wasn't a dish best served cold. It was a slow roast. And Victor was already trussed up. Back in the dorm, I locked the door and pulled out my laptop. Time to arm up. A quick search. Nothing on Grandpa yet. But I bookmarked Swiss bank protocols, PI firms in Boston, and a crash course in forensic accounting. The locket burned against my skin, a talisman and a timer. I had 10 years to unravel the web, but Victor moved fast. In the old life, he'd proposed in 6 months, married me in 12, isolated me by year 2. No more. I'd accelerate. Tomorrow, I'd charm Aunt Lydia into the family archives. Find the first thread, the yacht insurance payout, suspiciously fat and fast. Then, trace the money to the nursing home in upstate New York where they'd stashed him. Elias Crow, my key to flipping the script. Sleep came fitful, haunted by echoes, the crunch of metal, Victor's whisper, Mom's grave where I'd buried her ashes next to a tombstone for a man who'd outlived her. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving. Day 1 of the rest of my life, or his end. The firm was a hive on my first day. Paralegals buzzing like drones around honey. Trish handed me a stack of files taller than my ambitions, due diligence on a vineyard merger. Harper Vineyards, Grandpa's crown jewel, the one they'd inherited after his death. I dove in, eyes scanning for anomalies. They're a shell company, Eagle's Nest Holdings, buried in the footnotes. My pulse spiked. Coincidence? Hell no. Lunch was a sandwich at my desk. Wolfed down while I texted Victor, flirty, non-committal. Missed you already. Dinner soon? His reply pinged instant. Name the time. Beautiful. Snake. Afternoon brought the archives. A dusty basement vault smelling of mildew and old money. Aunt Lydia had okayed it with a wave. Dig in. Josephine. Family history's your birthright. If only she knew. I pulled the box labeled Elias Harper, personal, hard in my throat. Yellowed news clippings. Tech mogul lost at sea. The yacht photo. Pristine. No scorch marks. Then, a letter, Mom's handwriting, dated a month after. Dad, if you're out there, come home. Josie's asking for you. Postmarked from the family estate. She'd suspected. Deeper, a bank statement, redacted, but the routing number matched Zurich. I snapped photos with my phone, hands steady despite the quake inside. This was it, the loose thread. Evening fell with Victor at a rooftop bar. City lights sprawling like a conquered kingdom. He ordered Manhattans, his arm casual around my waist. Tell me about you, Joe. Dreams? Secrets. I sipped, eyes locking his. Secrets? Like how I always felt Grandpa was watching over me. Silly, right? His grip tightened, imperceptible to anyone but me. Not silly. Tragic. He kissed my temple, soft as poison ivy. I let him, while rising, plotting the day I'd make him choke on his own charm. Weeks blurred into a dangerous dance. Victor and I were official by month 2, dinners at the North End, weekends in the Berkshires. his hands mapping my body like territory. I played the part, adoring, ambitious Joe, blind to the shadows. But nights alone, I pieced the puzzle. The PI I hired discreet. Cash only, dug up Elias Crow's records, admitted to Willow Creek Nursing Home. 1995. Amnesiac vagrant. Photo match. Grandpa. Gaunt but grinning in the intake pic. The home's owner? A shell tied to Uncle Harlan. They'd drugged him, silenced him, waited for the statute of limitations on the fraud. My fraud now. I'd claim it all. But cracks showed. Victor's question sharpened. You still wearing that locket? Creepy old thing. Aunt Lydia's lunches turned interrogative. Any family lore you've heard? Dear? I deflected with smiles and spreadsheets, rising fast at the firm, my reviews glowing. Then, the first test, a merger meeting where Uncle Harlan floated selling off a vineyard parcel. For liquidity, he blustered, sweat beading on his florid face. I spoke up, calm, cutting. Grandpa built that land. Selling feels premature. The room froze. Harlan's eyes bulged. Victor, at my side, squeezed my knee, warning or pride. Later, in the car, he murmured, bold move, babe. But family's family. Family. The words soured my mouth. That night, tangled in his sheets, I whispered into the dark. What if Grandpa didn't die? What if he left something for me? He stiffened, then chuckled low. Ghost stories? Joe? Let it go. But his breathing didn't even out for an hour after I fell asleep. I was close. Too close. The PI emailed, coordinates for the vault, combo from the locket's engraving. Zurich. 3 months out. I'd need a passport. Cover story. Victor planned a surprise trip to Europe, honeymoon tease. Perfect bait. But revenge itched deeper. I wanted their faces when the trap snapped. A anonymous tip to the IRS? No. Too clean. Public ruin. Leaked docs. Headlines screaming Harper heirs hid billionaire patriarch. And Victor, him last, broken in a cell, begging the wife he murdered. Thanksgiving loomed. Family estate in the Hamptons, a powder keg. Mom's portrait watched from the mantel. Her eyes sad in oil. I arrived with Victor, locket hidden under silk. Dinner was roast pheasant and veiled barbs, Harlan toasting to Elias. Gone too soon, Lydia eyeing me like a rival. Post-feast. In the library. I found it, Grandpa's old desk. Locked but pickable with a paperclip from hell knows how many prison dramas in my head. Inside. A hidden drawer, yellowed map, eagle sketched over Napa Valley. The vineyards weren't just land. They hid a bunker. Wartime relic from his OSS days. Stuffed with originals. Uncorrupted will. Naming me sole heir. Jackpot. I pocketed a photo. Heart soaring. But Victor caught me slipping out. Joe? What are you? Ghost hunting, I quipped, kissing him to distract. His tongue tasted like betrayal, but I leaned in, memorizing the monster beneath the mask. The flight to Zurich was first class. Victor's treat, his hand possessive on my thigh. Future misses. Kane, he toasted with champagne, the ring he'd slip on next week glinting. Future? I'd end his present. The bank was a fortress of discretion, vaults humming like tombs. The manager, a Dar Swiss named Klaus, verified the locket. Miss Harper. Your grandfather anticipated. Complications. He let us down, us. Victor had insisted. Partners in everything. The box yawned open. Bonds. Deeds. A USB drive. And the video, Grandpa. Frail but fierce. Camera shaking. Josie, if you're seeing this, they lied. I swam ashore that night. Harlan's bullet grazing my shoulder.
He wanted the empire.
Lydia forged the rest. It's yours.
Girl.
Fly free. Victor's face drained of color. What the fuck is this? I smiled, cold as December fog. Proof. Darling. The kind no one disputes. He lunged. Idiot, but Klaus's guards were faster, pinning him as alarms wailed. I pocketed the drive. Bonds in my purse. Call the authorities.
Fraud.
Attempted theft.
Outside.
Snow flurried on Bahnhofstrasse. Victor's screams echoed from the vault. Josie.
Wait.
I love you.
Love.
The word I'd clung to in another life. I hailed a cab. Bound for the airport. Solo flight home. The family's empire would crumble under audits. Headlines. Trials. Harlan in orange. Lydia disbarred. Cousins scattering like roaches. But as the plane lifted off, doubt gnawed. Grandpa's eyes in the video, proud, but pained. Forgive them, Josie. Or don't. Just live. Forgiveness? After the miscarriages. The isolation. The crash?
No.
But maybe.
Mercy.
A plea deal for Mom's sake. Who believed the lie till her cancer took her. Back in Boston. The firm was chaos, FBI swarming. Lydia arrested mid-denial. Victor. Extradited. Begged through glass at the jail. It was for us.
Joe.
The money, our life. Our life died on I-95, I whispered, turning away. The judge granted the empire to me, unchallenged. Vineyards bloomed under new management, ethical.
Mine.
Yet the twist came quiet. In Grandpa's bunker unearthed by my crew. Not just ducks, but letters. Dozens.
To me.
From Willow Creek. Dear Josie, you're the eagle now.
Soar.
He'd known. Somehow, willed his spirit across time. I visited his unmarked grave, locket in hand. I did it.
Grandpa.
Proof undisputed. Wind whispered through the vines. And for the first time since waking, I breathed free. No by kitsch, just rebirth. Victor rotted. The family fractured. But Josephine Harper? She ruled. Unchained. Her story the legend they'd never bury again.